Hello and welcome to the Hedonistic Way at Midday show. I am Renee Mayne and today I want to talk about some of my favorite topics, which is very exciting and give you a bit of a different spin on your perception around them and how you can actually use them, which I believe to be some of the most powerful and transformative ways um, to integrate into our whole selves. So what I really want to share with you is let's talk about kink first. So the work that we do inside the Intuitive Dominatrix internship is really about understanding kink, and everyone has a kink profile, and not everyone knows this, and can be quite shocked by thinking that they don't have a kink profile, but everybody does. And here's the thing about kink just isn't about BDSM, and it's more than the bedroom. What goes on in the bedroom, kink is really just it's a curve, and it's a turning point, and it's a groove that where we change and steer directions. The thing about the perception about kink is that it's something that only deviates do, or someone who has some freaky ass fetish, or we've got all of these ideas around what people are like who are kinky, and into kink. But we all have a kink profile, and this, in my opinion, is, you know, it says a lot about the relationship that we have with our sexuality and how we talk about sexuality within the community and in our culture, because it can be demonized into something that's really bad or wrong or evil or taboo, whatever it is. But it's actually one of the most natural acts that um, that we do. That we do it. Well, most like I was going to say everyone does it. Not everyone does it, but the vast majority of the population want to. And I'm pretty sure the ones who aren't having it are thinking about it. Um, So let's talk about, last week in the temple we were talking about kink and how that looks in our everyday life, and we how until we really meet our kink, we can't accept all of ourselves as we are, for who we are, and we spend so much time trying to avoid it. And a kink doesn't necessarily have to be a sexual desire. A kink can be formed in anything. It could be, for me it was about uniqueness, and I was so hell bent on being unique that how that showed up in my life had a very particular like journey with that. It meant changing course and changing directions every 2 seconds because I was so hell bent on being unique. And as soon as I didn't feel unique, I would turn around and go in a different direction. In friendship groups, I was so hell bent on being unique that I often felt left out and like I didn't belong. I felt like an outsider. And a lot of the time, I just thought I wasn't, because I wasn't normal. And so it really formulated this pattern in my life that I was really unconscious to. And there's really so much, and there's so many other things that these moments in my life, these things that I've called in, has really come down to this desire to be unique, and wanting to be so desperate to be different, but also desperate to not want to be the same. So it really creates this friction in our nervous system and in our bodies, um, and our consciousness. It can't understand. It can't tell the difference um, between this frequency, right? So it gives us these things in our life that can go, yes, okay, like we're giving you this because this is what you want, and it's really not what we want. But our energy does not lie, and what we have in our life is is a reflection of what we're wanting. And sometimes that takes a really hard conversation that we have with ourselves. um, yeah, so I've really been journeying a lot with that this week. And so I really want invite you to open up your journey with your kink profile, because the flavors that are in it, the gifts that are in it, are really gold. And leaning into what that actually is for you, because you will hear me say a gazillion times, is how we do one thing is how we do everything. So how we are showing up in the bedroom is really a replica of what our life is looking like. And that can be a confronting thing to ask yourself. So yeah, so in that journey of our eros, it's really about, it comes back, for me, it always comes back to a quote of from A Course in Miracles, is that which is all encompassing has no opposites. And it's that, welcoming everything into our life, and just knowing that, you know we spend most of our lives trying to hide our freak. And I want to give you full permission to just fly that freak flag. And it's that uniqueness, that thing that makes you different, is you. It's what makes you you, and it's not bad, or it's not shameful, and you don't have to be guilty for it, you don't have to hide it. But we spend our whole lives trying to pretend that it doesn't exist, or hide from it and push it down and suppress it. But often it's once we honor that thing, whatever it is for you, it really is a turning point in your life. And that is a absolutely glorious day. That moment, is when we do that, we really reclaim our power in that moment. Because pretending that something doesn't exist when it does is just lying to ourselves. And our bodies know when we're lying, our soul knows when we're lying. And provides a reality that is a reflection of that. So we can't lie to our nervous system. We can't pretend. It's really about just welcoming it all in. And instead of seeing things as good or bad or right or wrong, is really just dissolving that and melting into this isness, this smorgasbord of life, where we get to taste all the flavors because we signed up to taste all the flavors. And I think that sometimes we forget that. We forget that we signed up to taste all the flavors. And when we do that, is I remember one of my clients years ago, she said to me, I hate selling. Like, I just hate selling, but I love my product. Like, I love it. She said, but I hate selling. And so I said, use that. Use that. Like, what if you didn't have to sell it? What if you could just use that and show up and say, you know what? Like, I really hate selling because I love this product that I created. I love the creativity. I love that it sparks the imagination of kids. I love that it's, and so, I said to change the story, change the frame in which you see it. And I think that's such an empowering thing to do, because otherwise it just limits us. It's so limiting when we tell ourselves we can't do this, we can't do that, and I'm really hopeless at this. But if we just owned it and go, you know what, like, I really hate selling and I don't want to have to do this, I don't want to have to sell you my product. But what if I just instead said, you know what, I hate selling, but you know what, I love the imagination that it sparks. I love the creativity. I think that creativity is really important. I think that sparking our imagination is really important. And this, as she was the designer of, or is the designer of kids' toys, so changing that conversation is really important. And so that's my invite to you today, is to just open up and go, okay, like, what do I need to open up in my world? What do I need to open up and accept within myself? That thing that I think that I'm really shit at, or that thing that I think, man, I am a freaky ass motherfucker. Like that, like, what do I need to own? What do I need to own? Because as soon as we shame it, that's when it becomes the issue. But if we don't shame it and all of us is welcome, it's a completely different narrative and life that we create for ourselves, and really just, it comes down to that, it's full permission to be you. It's full permission to be all of you, to know that we all have these things, these parts of ourselves that we've really danced with or shamed or hated throughout our whole entire lives. There's things that, that we beat ourselves up about, or we think, should I have said that, should I have didn't, these parts of ourselves that, this false power that we give over to ourselves, where we think small of ourselves or we belittle ourselves, but they're really just fragmented parts of who we are that we've tried to ignore. But as soon as we bring them into the light, it's bring them into self, it's not so bad. I imagine a world where, like, where, imagine if we didn't have to pretend to have our shit together all the time. Imagine if we could just show up as we are without worrying about, will I offend someone? Will they understand? Will they judge me? What will people think? I can't show up like this. Like, I can't show up in my full pleasure because, oh my goodness, like, that would be, that would just move mountains, and people would be like, what the fuck is she on? So imagine a world where we could just do that, where, you know, we could just journey with other people instead of, journey with life as it is, rather than trying to create these containers for ourselves where, we talk about like-minded, we want to hang around with like-minded people, and, all of this. And, we judge the antidote. We judge life for what it brings us. And knowing that, that our lessons come to us in various ways, and, putting ourselves in tight knit containers where we don't have the freedom to explore life in all of its flavors, I think that time is done. And we need to enter this world in all of humanity and see the absolute gloriousness of it, and just hold ourselves in absolute sovereignty, and, not trying to live life like somebody else lives it, not trying to do or run our businesses or serve in a way that, because other people told us that it has to look a certain way. It really has to be unique to us. It really has to be aligned with what lights us up and what turns us on, and doing it from that space, because otherwise it's not sustainable and you're not going to enjoy it. And it's really about, using your discernment, and choosing what feels good for you. Does this feel good for me? Does it not feel good to me? Like, and being okay with that. And yeah, there's just There's such beauty in it, and just flipping everything on its head like that just opens us up to see life in a new way, which I think is really glorious. Um, yeah, the other thing I wanted to talk about with you guys today is desire. And, desire, when you think about it, always comes from a space of it's something that is outside of me. And I desire this, and it's never within or rarely within. So we don't really allow ourselves to feel desire in that moment. And that really is, again, just an invitation to flip your head on it. So the next time you want something, the next time you're hungering or craving something, the next time you desire that thing, is to feel it within. Feel it within you, like literally feel it within your body. And cultivating that desire within is the most incredible work that we can do for ourselves, because all of a sudden, what we're doing in that moment is we're telling our nervous system that we no longer have to seek anything else. We no longer have to be anywhere else to be happy and feel desire. We actually are desire, and it's nothing that we need to obtain, because it's just a really natural feeling state that is alive in us in that moment. And it's really that innate desire, rather than this constant craving of something that's outside of us, that will always leave us depleted. And that's when we get the huge spikes of, like, it's the sugar fix of I'm desiring chocolate. And so then you go, oh, a huge spike, it gives you a huge dopamine hit, a huge happiness hit, and then you crash. And then it's this yo-yo effect that's happening with your emotions and your relationship with your desire. But desire is absolutely, it's a frequency that you can cultivate at any time. And it's an important one, because it's in the decadence of life that we get to perform our best magic. And that is a delicious way to serve. And we can only do that when we allow ourselves permission to be. We can be really angry or really sad and feel really turned on and feel desire within us, and it's activated. So then what we're doing is we're actually breaking down the scale of consciousness, because we're breaking all the rules with that, and we're creating a new paradigm shift of where we are frequency, and we're honoring ourselves. And desire and hedonism is the only way that we can really make that happen in a sustainable way. And that's really just melting into the moment. So that is me. I would love to know, like, what is alive in you, and what has your relationship with desire, what is your relationship with desire been? What has it been? What do you need to let go of? What do you need to give yourself permission to be? What is that thing that you try and shame? What is that thing that you try to ignore? And bring it back, bring it back to self, and go, okay, like, what is that kink profile? What is this pattern that's continuing, this thread that's been happening throughout my life, that I'm subconsciously feeding into this kink profile that actually isn't honoring me whatsoever? And how can I integrate that into self in a more honoring way? Because then we get to experience that desire and that kink profile that is actually serving us. Yeah. So let me know, and if you have any questions, let me know. Reach out, message me. I am here for you. And as you know, the intakes are open for the Intuitive Dominatrix internship for 2021. Starts in February, but right now it's at 2020 prices. If you do want to explore your pleasure and your kink, and really get to know yourself and remember who you are on an ongoing basis, and really embody and integrate this eros that is you, then reach out to me and we can have a chat about journeying together. So that is me over and out. I will be back next week for another show, but enjoy your week, beautiful. Bye.